Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. For today's midweek meta deck, we are playing a bit of Cloudpost, which I know a lot of you loved to see. This is a deck from Lucac Mietton, who won a big event in France, which qualified them for the European Legacy Masters. I'll put the links to their Patreon in the description. They are definitely one of the big stalwarts of playing Cloudpost, and they put a lot of work into it, so check out their Patreon if you want some more information about the deck. So what is this deck? Well, it is the big mana deck of the format. So we use Cloudpost, Glimmerpost, Planar Nexus to generate lots of mana, but we also have Urza's Tower and the Planar Nexus as just another route to get that 4 mana on turn 2, where we can cast things like the One Ring, which just spirals out of control, or Karn the Great Creator, which can go and get us some tools that we need to take over the game. We are a pretty shooter-box heavy deck in terms of our land here. We've got Blast Zone, Bojuka Bog, Echoing Deeps, which can become like another copy of Bojuka Bog or whatever, Tabernacle, Eye of Ugin, Wasteland, Karakas, and we got a couple of Boseiju up here as well. So we have all these things that we're finding either with the Sowing Mycospawn or the crop rotation. So sometimes we'll need to get some lands that mess with our opponent's stuff. Sometimes we'll just be generating a lot of mana and doing our thing and getting more on that front. We've got ourselves a few Grim Monoliths as well as another way of powering out a big turn. So we can go turn 1 Grim Monolith off of something like a Spirit Guide, and then maybe start jamming some large Sowing Mycospawn action on turn 2, which can really ruin people's day. So if you cast Sowing Mycospawn kicked on turn 2, the chances of you win that game are very high. We've got some Once Upon a Time to help smooth out our early draws. We've got some Disruptor Flutes as some sort of generic disruption that can name Wasteland or hurt on some Planeswalkers or whatever we need at the time. And then we've got at the top end, obviously Emrakul is the big top end. It's pretty much the only one we need here. Some previous lists used to run Ulamog, but now we're just purely in the Emrakul world. And we've got some Kozilek's Command, which whilst it doesn't win you the game, it can give you an overwhelming advantage by just giving you a load of mana that you can then channel into whatever you need, whether you're doing some really stupid Karn stuff by just going and putting the Lattice into play, or whatever. So, powerful card, it's flexible and gives us interaction in a deck that might otherwise struggle for it. And yeah, that's pretty much the list. Sideboard-wise, we've got a little Karn board, Ballista, Lattice, Ensnaring Bridge, Crypt, and Boompile. I'm not a fan of Boompile, because you don't get to determine what happens to this. So there was a league I played, I don't know, a week or two ago, where my opponent was playing Boompile, and they got their Boompile, and they failed to flip on it like 4 times in a row. And they basically just wasted their entire like Karn to get this Boompile that never did anything. If it went off, it would have been good, but I'm not sure I like the lack of reliability. On top of that, we've got Plains. We're going to be boarding this in when we're boarding in the Source to Plowshares. This allows us to kill things like Harmony of the Seas and Makers of the Moon. And we've got some Force of Vigor to kill Blood Moons. We can just, hard cast our stuff. We only have colorless pips, really, in our Kozilek's Command. And the Mycospawn does have it in the kicker, but we don't necessarily need to kick it. And we can always use this to go and tutor for one of our basics, which is often a play pattern you'll find here. We've got some Vale Summons to force some stuff through, and some Surgicals to add a little bit of graveyard hate. And that is Lucas's deck. So I'm quite excited to give this a whirl. We normally do pretty well with Cloudpost on the channel, so please remember to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subs by my birthday in April, so why not become one of those subscribers and help me hit that target. And you can become a YouTube member if you'd like to for just £1 a month and see my videos early. Alright, it's Cloudpost time, let's go. We are on the play for game 1. What can we do here? We can make a turn 3 kicked Mycospawn. That's a little bit slow but very powerful. Or we could just start doing some Cloudpost stuff and generating a lot of mana. Like we have the mana, that's what we kind of want. We just need the payoff. Kind of a weird looking hand, this one. I think I'm going to believe in the deck to give us what we're looking for. This hand is pretty good against Wasteland because we have a lot of redundancy. And when they see a Cloudpost, they're very much incentivized to try and hit that Cloudpost. If we can find ourselves a Elvish Spirit Guide or something, we can really pop off here. An Eye of Ugin. So if we play this Cloudpost, each of these will tap for 2 each. If we play this, they'll tap for 3, so that's 3, 6, 7 mana, which is enough to kick this. So we can kick that next turn. And then we can just start shooting stuff with Eye of Ugin. This might give us a line that gets to beat some of their graveyard lines if that's what they're doing. Now, they might not be a graveyard deck, they might just be a fair tempo deck. We don't know yet. They could be a combo deck. All the cards they've shown us so far are in decks like the Epic Storm. Right, their Brainstorm is finished, and they've got a fetch hand to follow it up. Should give us a little bit of an indication of what our opponents are. Okay, they're quite likely to be on a blue-black deck of some description. Oh, okay. Dark Ritual. Doomsday. Okay. Doomsday is going to be an interesting one here, but we do get to just strip out their lands. So next turn we can Wasteland and blow up their land. And that'll be uncounterable. It certainly gives us a line that might work. Alright, so we can see their pile now. What is in it? Pretty standard looking stuff, aside from these one rings, which you don't always see. And you normally use, well, I tend to see them alongside the Teferi, so it's interesting they're not splashing white for that as well. Okay. Well, we've got our plan. So this taps for 3, 6 mana, and we can make a green mana here. Then we can kick this. They could daze and save their land, which is why we're hitting this one first. We could get an Urza's Tower and play a Disruptor Flute, but that does play into counter magic. It won't play into a daze, but it will play into a Force of Will. I guess we should count the dazes actually. Count the forces, sorry. 1 force, 2 force, 2 forces. Okay, yeah. How many dazes over there? 1 daze, 2 days, 3 days. They don't always run the full 4, but they definitely run more than 2 Force of Wills. So I believe that they are planning on Force of Willing. Well, I don't know if they Force of Will this. Do they need the time? Do they have the power that this works for? I don't know. But we're doing our thing. Sowing Mycospawn, what a magic card. Can't say I'm a fan of the design, but it's certainly helping us out here. Are they going to daze this now and save their land? No. Alright, back to the Stone Age with you. Now, they still have lines that can win this game. Whether or not they have them in their pile, I don't know. Alright, so cycling that land. Okay, that gets them deeper into their pile. If we can resolve this Disruptor Flute will be good, but I don't think we're going to be able to, because it looks like our opponent does have a Force of Will in their hand. We need to work out the best way to get through this. I'm not sure what that's going to be. If we could just draw another Mycospawn, does that help? Depends if they play a land out. A Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, so if they just pass, we can Boseiju that and they can't counter it. Alright, so they're just going to do a Lion's Eye Diamond line here, yeah. And there's the Force of Will being discarded that we deduced, and they do have the 4th daze. Okay, so it's 3 Force of Wills, 4 days in their list. Unless I've miscounted somewhere. But, yes, we did see that they had a Force of Will in hand. And now we lose. Okay. In my experience, the Doomsday matchup here is pretty horrible for the poor little Cloudpost deck. I think the last time I played this, my only loss was against the Cloudpost deck. So how... Sorry, it was against the Doomsday deck. So how are we supposed to address this one? We can try and Vale of Summer some stuff. I don't believe the Force of Vigor is useful here. There's times when it comes up, but I don't think we can rely on that. I don't think they're going to pivot into a creature plan because we smash a creature plan quite easily. If you want Vale of Summers to force something through, like a Disruptor Flute or something, what do we cut for it? Do we need Bojuka Bog in this matchup? We do not. I guess that's one of these. Do we need Tabernacle? Also no. So that gets us the other Vale. And that's pretty decent there. Okay. This hand is not great. What are we doing with it? No, I think we can mulligan this one. We can play a Disruptor Flute early doors. That's quite handy. We also have this 1 ring. Do we need to keep the Kozilek's command in case we get Thoughtseize and they take our 1 ring though? If we're doing that, does that mean we're getting rid of the Nexus? We can't be getting rid of the Nexus. Too good here. We're getting rid of the Glimmerpost. Has additional mana. So turn 1 we play this. Turn 2 we play this and the Disruptor Flute. Turn 3 we can play this. And 1 ring that we... I think... Oh, is it the Boseiju? I think it's the Boseiju that goes... Sometimes they'll hang something out, but not very often. We're unlikely to catch it. Like they did in that last game, they played the Lion's Eye Diamond and then cycled and cracked it in response. So there was never a window for us to remove it, even if we had our mana up. Okay, a Ponder. Not a personal tutor or anything, so we've got some time. They can still combo next turn off of like Swamp, Cabal Ritual into Doomsday. We could crop rotate here. I don't really want to crop rotate this away. I think we're just going to play this Disruptor Flute around a daze. I don't know if they've brought in Force of Negation. I suspect not. And I suspect it's better to get this Disruptor Flute down before they have their mana untapped. Well, they've got a Force of Will anyway. Pitching a Ponder. So that's one less cantrip to get through their pile slightly quicker. Dark Ritual. Okay, are we going this turn? Looks like we're going. How are we supposed to beat this setup from our opponent? They probably need to have some artifact mana, or well, they're going to have another land in their deck or another mana source of some description. How are we supposed to beat that? So the One Ring doesn't stop us from losing, which is kind of the problem here. It just says we can't be targeted. But if our opponent just puts a thing that says I win the game on the stack, we just sat there holding our ring doing nothing. Do we have any useful crop rotation stuff here? Let's have a look. Not really, no. Okay. This matchup does seem a little bit on the horrible side, but you can't beat everything. Right, we had a piece of interaction, which is about the most we're generally going to have in this deck. But it wasn't enough. What can we draw that will help us out? Another Disruptor Flute. We can name Thassa's Oracle. That might slow them down enough. We can go up on mana slightly this turn if we use the Glimmerpost and siphon that mana into the Planar Nexus after tapping our Cloudpost. Get rid of the Glimmerpost, get a tower, and then we'll have the 3 floating from the Cloudpost plus the 3 from the tower. So we'll have 6 mana to play with instead of 5. So we could play the One Ring, draw into Disruptor Flute. I think that's probably the line we have to go for. Just doing all of our thinking during our opponent's construction of their Doomsday pile. Although we'll see what they exile and see if that changes anything. I don't think we have a chance to play around it if they've got the permission. Okay, so 1 Force of Will over... Let's pop this out, actually, and have a better look at it. So 1 Force of Will, 2 Force of Will, 3 Force of Will, 4 Force of Will. So no Force of Wills. Okay, are they going now? If they go now, we're definitely dead. So they can cast a cantrip and then crack the Lion's Eye Diamond. And you just, like, Edge of Autumn through their pile. There's no Edge of Autumns in the exile zone, so they can fire at least one of those off. They might have a Street Wraith as well, because there's not one in the pile. So we'll probably just have Cycler, Consider, Oracle. That works. It should be pretty doable from here. Assuming that 1 mana floating for them is to cast a cantrip. I don't think the Consider is in their exile zones. That makes sense. Okay, so we've got Brainstorm. So Brainstorm makes it a little bit different because they have to put 2 cards back and then get through those, but they'll probably put back something that they can then consider away. So there's Consider. So they've got one of the cards they had in hand before, right? Yep, and this is just a clean line to Oracle. Okay, we got absolutely mulched by that one, but that is not a surprise. I would put my money on the Doomsday every time in this matchup. Let's go to round 2. This hand doesn't really go anywhere for round 2, so we're going to send this one back. Okay, yeah, so we have something to do with our mana. We just need to find a little green source. I'll keep this, and the Emrakul can be a thing for later on. So the other hand had a decent chunk of mana that we could deploy, but I think I would rather have access to some payoffs here. So we draw, and then we have a bit more information about what Once Upon a Timing for. Let's have a free spell, please. Looking for a green source, perhaps. Interesting. There is our green source. We're going to need a Planar Nexus at some point, but we can worry about that later. I think we just play out our tap land. This does suck if we draw a Planar Nexus. We can still cast some spells, though. But we have many different routes to getting big mana, so I think it's worth having a payoff in a situation like this. The last time we kept a bunch of mana, and it didn't really pan out for us, so I think trying to keep a hand with more stuff in makes sense. So our opponent is like a Yorion combo... Sorry, a Yorion control deck by the looks of things. So this is the sort of matchup we want, where we just eventually go over the top and they don't really get to do much about it. The One Ring. I don't believe they're running Dazes in their deck, so we could just jam this Grim Monolith and see if it sticks. And then next turn we can use it. So 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. We get to Sowing Mycospawn next turn. And that gets us all the mana we need to really pop off. Or we can disrupt our opponent's mana base if we think that's the correct thing to do. I suspect we just want a load of mana and just go big. Just keep bringing the haymakers. So we could be looking at something like a Teferi this turn. Okay, a Bayou. We're on Bug so far. Just Yori on Bug Beans? Could be. So put a blue card in hand. That could be a blue card for Force of Will. A Sowing Mycospawn with Kicker. Don't mind if I do. I will destroy Well, they have like one of each type here, really. So I guess we take out one of the blue sources, so it's harder for them to cast like a Murktide Regent or something. I'll get this Planar Nexus. That really makes our mana tick. And then next turn we can do another Kick Mycospawn. So this is 3 mana, this is 2, this is 5, 6, 7. So we have enough to kick a Mycospawn, and then we can go and get another Cloudpost or whatever we want. And then at some point we can work our way towards doing some Karn stuff. Another land, so we haven't completely wiped them out from playing the game. But I think it's just better to get more lands on our side when we have all these payoffs. A Grim Monolith. Alright, so we're the bad guy today. Let's Sowing Mycospawn. Get rid of this blue source. We just get another Cloudpost here. Is fair enough, I think. Well, we're not under threat from someone comboing underneath us. Our ability to go over the top of other people is pretty spectacular. Underground Sea and pass from our opponent. So how much mana do we have here? These tap for 3. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can try a Karn here. This will force some sort of answer from our opponent. Or not, I guess. That's interesting. What do we want to get here? Just get a Lattice for later on. Do we want to just try and deploy this One Ring, though? I would like to deploy the One Ring, because that's the thing that needs to be answered. Surprised I didn't answer the Karn. Oh, we could have just gone for the Lattice right here. But if I suspect our opponent has something, we want to try and force them to spend their action. And then we can just lock them. I think either way you do this is pretty fine. They're both incredibly powerful payoffs. But this is worse into things like Bowmasters, which might be a card our opponent has. Which is why we won't draw immediately. We'll attack first, and then we'll draw. This doesn't mean we're going to leave 1 mana on the table, but we can use that 1 mana to play a Grim Monolith. We just did, aren't we? Right, so after we've dealt our combo damage, we'll take a card off this One Ring. A Kozilek's Command. So we can do that for X equals 2 if we want to. We can also hold up this Boseiju. They could play a Bowmasters, ping our Karn, attack the Karn. But it seems like they didn't want to do that. We are playing at least 4 colours because we've seen the Plough and we've seen Buglands. So we're obviously not on Bug Beans like I said earlier. But we could be playing a Beanstalk deck that is primarily Bug. It certainly feels like they're primarily in Bug in terms of how they've been fetching. Allurin. Okay. I'm happy I have this Boseiju in hand. We need to hit this at the right time. Is now the right time? They might have more stuff to go over the top here. Looks like they do. I'm just going to get comboed out again. Yep, so what they do is they get a bunch of recruiters and then they go and get the guy that bounces stuff. They should be able to win. They get the Tidal Merfolk or whatever it's called. I think it's Arctic Merfolk maybe? We'll see. Well, they've gone for Ether Channeler instead. Sure. So this can bounce one of their recruiters. Yeah, they needed to have 2 recruiters to go off here. But now at least we have a better idea of what our opponent's doing. So they keep recruitering here. They've got the Cavern Harpy. So they can play and reset the Ether Channeler. Play the Ether Channeler. They don't have the most amount of life to do this with. So if they're just trying to cantrip their way to success. I guess no, because they bounce this. And then they can bounce this. Yeah, so this goes and gets them the Baleful, not the Baleful Strix, the Tide Hollow Strix? Parasitic Strix, that's the one. So this can get them that, and then they can play that, and they can just loop it with the Cavern Harpy from this point onwards. We don't have an answer to this one. A Grist. Do they not just have the win there? Like, they can do this as many times as they want, I suppose. But I'll let it play out because it's interesting. It's not a deck you see very often, so some of the people watching here might not have seen the Alluring deck popping off. So we might as well let it keep running for a little bit. So, yeah, just bouncing recruiters. There's a Baleful Strix. Are they on a build that doesn't have the Parasitic Strix? Because if they did, this is deterministic, but they seem to just be trying to draw more cards. So maybe their life total won't hold up here because they're not playing the Parasitic Strix. So this bounces the Channeler. Oh no, they're bouncing the Strix. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so they could do it either way they wanted to here. But they could just be tutoring for something. So they have an Orcish Bowmasters now. That pings us, but that doesn't stop them from losing the game right away. Or it doesn't win them the game, I should say. It's going to bounce this. They're going to get one more card draw. And now they can bounce their Strix one more time. Sorry, their Harpy one more time. And then they can do this loop once more. They really not have a Parasitic Strix. Seems like if you're playing a Recruiter build, you probably want that. Alright, there's a Bowmaster. I'm pinging this guy. They're just going to try and kill our Sowing Mycospawn. Okay, so they got the land off of the Allurin, off of the Boseiju hitting the Allurin. And now I have this. So presumably they're just going to kill the Karn. But we can... I just got an Ice Fang here. Okay. So they're probably going to kill the Karn with the Grist. And then try and attack us down, I guess. I'm not going to command here. No, you're not going to use that Grist? Oh, there it goes. They're waiting for our mana to disappear. Yep, there goes our Karn. I don't know if our opponent has room for Force of Wills in their deck. It's possible. Okay, we have the One Ring. That ticks up. So this is obviously bad into Bowmasters with this One Ring, but we can just kill their Bowmasters if that's what we really want to do. So we play this. This gives us a lot more mana. So this is 1, 2, 3. So we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we could Karn, Lattice, kill their guy. Alternatively, we could just Karn into the Walking Ballista. I guess we're about to find out if they have a Source of Plowshares or not. Oh, sorry, not Source of Plowshares. Oh, they could have a Source of Plowshares, actually. A Force of Will, is what I was meant to say. So what's the most they can gain with the Plow? 2? So they can be on 4. So we need X to be 4. At that point, we may as well make X slightly bigger. No, they might have days. You've got a Force over there. They drew a lot of cards. They go to 1 here. They do have the Force. So that's why they had the Ice Fang at the end as the blue card for their Force. I could draw some cards here. I don't really need to, though. So we have this next turn. We exile our own Walking Ballista with the Kozilek's command, and then we get it back with the Karn, play it again, ping our opponent for 1. We just need to not die, although they can send some flying damage into our Karn and kill the Karn, so that's kind of annoying, actually. So maybe we're just going to Kozilek's command away their Bowmasters. They have 2, though. I should just send in these 2 flyers and kill the Karn, I think. These have a lot of words on them, but not reach. So they could be holding up a hardcast Force over there. It's a Ferry. Okay. Are they going to bounce their own Baleful Strix and get a redraw? I wonder why they couldn't win. Like, they're not running Acererak, surely. If you're playing the Recruiter build, you should just have the Strix and just go there. They're bouncing their Recruiter. Okay. Windswept Teeth, so they could play the Recruiter right now, but it will kill them, actually, because of the Windswept Teeth. We just need to deal 1 point of damage to our opponent. Where is our dealing 1 point of a damage card? Piranha Marsh, where are you? I think it's Piranha Marsh. Planar Nexus. This does give us more mana. So we can Scry X, draw a card, and make a bunch of guys. Target ourselves here. If we do it like this, we don't have the ability to have... We're just looking for Emrakul, aren't we? Let's just drink deep from the well here. I was going to say, we don't have the mana to filter. We get 1 card from this. Possibly a second one off of the One Ring. Or 2 off the One Ring, sorry. But we don't really want to fall short here. They can't Force of Will because they're on 1 life. Okay. There's a bunch of interesting stuff here. So we don't want this. That goes on the bottom. This goes on the bottom. So the stuff we do want is obviously the Emrakul and the Karn. Quite like the Tabernacle as well, just to clean out all their guys. I don't think that's going to be necessary. But we can just do it all here, can't we? Our opponent can't Force of Will. Do we just put the... No, we can't do the Karn line yet, can we? So I guess we put this on top. And then this. And this. Opponent gets their Bowmaster triggers. We go into our face. Makes sense because we just sack the guys anyway. Cast Big Emma. Here's Big Emma coming to ruin their day. We get an extra turn. So we might as well just go to our extra turn and then evaporate all their permanents. And if that doesn't work, we can then play... am I attacking here? Probably not into the 4/4. And then we can play Karn Lattice Lock with the Tabernacle and just shut them out. They currently don't have a flying blocker. Alright, they conceded the power of Emrakul. So if they had a Parasitic Strix in their deck, they could have just won that turn. I'm really curious why they didn't if they're running a Recruiter build. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, Allurin. Force of Vigor can kill Allurin. Very hard to get the timing right on that though. Source to Plowshares against their creature-based deck, also not the worst thing either. So I'm interested in this selection of cards. What do we not really need? I don't think we want the Bojuka Bog. The Blast Zone is pretty good. Karakas. I don't think Karakas matters here, but it is a white source, so we're probably going to get rid of that. Tabernacle does look good. The Wasteland, we can certainly make this a non-game. I don't know how I feel about having crop rotations, given our opponent's ability to counterspell. It just feels like if we crop rotate early, we can just lose due to our own crop rotation. So I'm going to try it without those. So how many cards do we have at present? Like obviously we can try and use Vale of Summer to force that through, but is that the best use of our time and mana? Uncertain. So we could play this one Force of Vigor here. We don't have that many green cards to pitch though, do we? Maybe I prefer one Vale. I don't really want to sideboard anything else out here. I think we just want all the hits. Kozilek's command is maybe a little bit slow, but it's a choice of do we have more Haymakers or do we... There's no point boarding out a Haymaker for something to make sure a Haymaker's resolved when it's just a one-off chance. It'd be the same as having another Haymaker, except in situations where we draw the protection but no Haymaker. So I think it's best to run it like this. We've got the Boseijus anyway, so we do have some action. If we can find the tower, we can do like a turn 3 Mycospawn. We could do a turn 2 One Ring here though, if we find the tower. So I'm going to give it a go and believe in the power of Once Upon a Time. No 1-drop for our opponent, not a surprise given the nature of their deck. A second Once Upon a Time is not what I want to see. A Cloudpost. I guess we'll take this Cloudpost and I'll deploy that on turn 1, get our tap land out of the way. It does mean that we forego the possibility to make a turn 2 One Ring if we play out the Nexus and draw the tower. Right, just getting a Surveil land here. Okay, Once Upon a Time is very, very good and important in our deck, but it does feel a bit bad when we draw the second one. At some point we'll have loads and loads and loads of mana, but the issue is actually the green mana on this more than anything else. A Swamp. Another Once Upon a Time. I'll play this Planar Nexus. And then we will... So it's worth playing this in case we draw like the tower, then we get to kick the Mycospawn next turn. Orcus Bowmasters. Sure, we don't draw that many cards outside of doing One Ring stuff. We could just go get the Tabernacle and force them to have all their mana attacks forever when we play the Mycospawn. That'd be very annoying for them. But they could just play the Allurin in combo off and then we die. So that also doesn't seem great. Although they comboed off and we didn't die. Let's get this Once Upon a Time going. Let's see, there's a tower we wanted. So I think we're probably looking at wastelanding our opponent here. So 3, 6, and we'll make a green. Oh, that's a red. We want a green. And then we'll kick this. Wait, have I done my maths wrong here? 3. Oh no, this is only 2, isn't it? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're actually shy of doing that, aren't we? And I think last time we did that we had different mana, didn't we? So let's have a think. We had 2 Cloudposts last time. So we could just wasteland them. I think we probably have to wasteland them here. So we can't cast this with Kicker. We just need to stop them getting to Allurin levels of mana. Kicked consigned to memory here. Obviously very strong. They're just going to untap and Allurin us. Could be. So our other option there was to play the One Ring, but that runs into the exact same problem. The cards they need to answer the Mycospawn are a lot more specific. Like they can just let the 3/3 body go and just try and deal with. I think they have to have some sort of stifle effect to really deal with the meaningful part. this coming turn, then we do get to kick our Mycospawn. So we're hoping that they don't have another one of those. And we're also hoping they don't just play Alluring and kill us right now. A Ponder. Okay, I'll take that. They shuffle off that Ponder. They're Boseijuing me. Interesting. That does certainly curtail our mana. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana now. So we could Mycospawn, or we could just cast the One Ring here. Given our opponent doesn't have much going on. Actually, do I like the One Ring into this Bowmaster? We get one turn and make the guys bigger. We could Mycospawn and just get our Planar Nexus is probably what we have to do here, isn't it? Just turn all our mana back on. We are living in fear of them having a lure in here. But they're missing something. And they showed last time that they can't really combo off just with a Recruiter. So we probably stymied their attacks now. Yep. An Eye of Ugin, that generates quite a lot of mana for us, doesn't it? Oh wait, we don't have another Mycospawn, do we? So it makes our Kozilek's command cheaper. Intriguing. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. This is 9. It's not quite the amount I want here. Play this out, makes 2 for the command. So we can go... We can exile target creature. And I want some more colourless guys, just to get some more mana going. We got a decent amount of stuff here. Yeah, let's have some mana. So I would like some mana. We'll get rid of this Orcish Bowmasters. And this leaves up our coloured mana if we need it. So we can get rid of this, we can deploy the One Ring. If this doesn't work, we still have Once Upon a Time as a thing we get to do. Flare of Denial. Counter target spell. Don't see those every day. Right, we did board in a plough, so let's keep... Oh, I guess we can't draw the plough now anyway. What do we want here? A tower is 3 mana immediately. That's probably better, but how much we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, we're still a little ways off of doing Emrakul. So this Cloudpost will tap for 3 and give us +1, so that's +4 mana, but we don't get it immediately. That's fine. We should have played that before doing our Eye of Ugin. Obviously our Eye of Ugin helped towards doing our Kozilek's command. But we can attempt to Karn the Great Creator with Lattice Lock next turn. I'm pretty sure we have that sort of level of mana here. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, we're 1 shy. But we can play 2 big 4-drops that require answers. And we've still got another turn before our opponent gets to mess us up here with an Alluring. Can we just go and get another Mycospawn? That is something to consider, isn't it? Grim Monolith. That is plus mana, isn't it? So, we play this out. This is 3, 6, 7. That tutors for this. We then have 2 mana left over. 2 plus 4. Plus 2 to make it 4 for this. We're pretty close to being able to do everything here. So we can tutor for a Wasteland, but we can't kick it. Is that good enough? Alternatively, we could play the One Ring and sort of have a look, but then I'm not a big fan of this Bowmaster, it's ruining us. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we could just try and Lattice Lock our opponent. If they have nothing, that's good. Is that better than just Wastelanding them once here? You're seeing another Flare of Denial here. Just getting beaten by cancels. Yeah. I guess so. Might get some protection for a turn. So that means they might not be able to kill us with their combo. Let's get swinging. They're blocking here. So I could draw a card. But we get to trade everything off here. Is that worth doing? They ping this, they make, and then this gets bigger. But then it's just gone. Otherwise we kill this, and then we draw a card, and then they ping this for 1, and it lives, but they have a 1/1. I don't really care if they have a 1/1. I think I will draw now, just so that we are not risking another Bowmasters and additional pings. Okay, we have another shot at the Lattice lock next turn. We need our opponent to not combo us right now. I didn't manage to combo before with the double recruiters, so feeling relatively confident. We could also just try and mulch their lands with getting the Mycospawn, because you have enough mana to play and kick it now, which feels quite a strong thing to do. Is that stronger than Lattice? A Cavern Harpy. Bouncing the token. A curious choice. I guess they just want to keep their Bowmasters in play. I don't know why they're playing this Cavern Harpy out. Okay, we've drawn the Wasteland. That is a different kettle of fish now, isn't it? I think we go tap these, cast Karn. So we've got 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, yeah, we easily have enough for this, don't we? Just get the Lattice. Can I take you off of having things? An Ice Fang. Okay, so just getting enough stuff to attack our Karn with. Understood. It's kind of irritating though that our Karn doesn't get to live. I haven't played land yet. We could draw a card and draw into Tabernacle. That's pretty solid. That's worth doing here. To not draw into the Tabernacle. Right, they're going to ping our Karn or us. Would I like our opponent to not be able to combo next turn? I think so. Let's take out their green source here. Okay. I don't think there's much point attacking here. We just need to turtle up until we can do our thing. So we've got what? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. 13, 14 mana. So we can tutor for Emrakul and then cast it the turn after. Goodbye to the Karn. But if we find another Karn, we just get to Lattice lock up. And I don't believe they have the way to kill us because they couldn't kill us before. Just sort of playing like mitty little guys that we can hopefully get through. It's going to be a Teferi. We are kind of taking some hits off of our own Wandering here. I would love to find a plow just to deal with this Bowmasters. Are they going to bounce the Lattice? That doesn't seem good. They're probably going to bounce their own permanent here. Oh, they are bouncing the Lattice. Okay. Please can I draw a source to plowshares or something? We did draw the plow. Let's get rid of that Bowmasters. Turn on the One Ring. Draw some more cards. Kozelek's Command. More source to plowshares. Okay. Feels like we're in a spot here that we can do a lot of good with. We could just do like a big Kozelek's Command and try and lock it up. But I think we just get an Emrakul and then next turn kill them with Emrakul. So this is 3 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana. So that's Emrakul, which gives us 3, 4 mana to play with, 5, 6 mana to play with. So we could redeploy this. We could get this Disruptor Flute down. Quite like having the Disruptor Flute down. Cavern Harpy can't bounce anymore. Got the mana to go into this, and then we can Kozilek's Command now. That doesn't help too much. We don't need to plow this. Do we need to Kozilek's Command here? I don't think we do. Was it really achieving? I think we just pass and get Emrakul. We're going to take 3 damage this turn. Maybe 3 damage is too much though. Maybe we're supposed to... So this is 6 plus this is 7. So we could filter this into this and just plow this to save on life. I guess we could just tutor now while our opponent doesn't have anything up. Alright. So we're on 7 effectively. Our opponent can attack us for 1 this turn. Alurin's going to be difficult to combo with when they can't do Cavern Harpy loops. But they can bounce our thing, but that kind of takes them off of doing their own loops. Need to be pretty careful with our time here. This has been a bit of a long one. Plus the Teferi, playing a land. I can't cast Alurin. Actually, they can because of our own Yavimaya, actually. Alright, they have this Teferi. What are you going to bounce? The Disruptor Flute? Bouncing our blocker. Okay, so we get to bash for 6 here. For 3, sorry, and then I take another 3, so it's 6. So we're not dead to our own One Ring over 2 turns here. Cast Big Emma. Go extra turn. Play a land. 1 tap. We basically need to find an answer to our own One Ring. But we have a lot of mana and a Kozilek's Command to help do that. So we get 1 here. Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay, the Sowing Mycospawn doesn't actually help us out right now. Okay, I guess we just draw cards with the One Ring. If they have the Bowmasters, we can kill it in response. No, we can't because of the Teferi actually here. But if they have Bowmasters, we die anyway. None of these things get us out of the bind we're in, so let's dig. Actually, we need to play another land first. Might as well play this one. This gives us 3 right now. The other one gives us +2. Sure, so let's Kozilek's Command. Let's just make all the mana. Takes ages to click through. I'm going to leave 1 white mana up. I think I am. So if we find a Karn, we can animate our One Ring and blow it up as well. None of these are a copy of the One Ring though, are they? But we can animate our own One Ring and blow it up, which I guess is what we're doing. We could actually just play this other copy of the One Ring. That's probably the safer line here, isn't it? Let's do that. Oh, we have to put all these in stupid places, don't we? Not the greatest when we don't have the most amount of time. We just want the One Ring on top. And then we want the Karn underneath it. And that's all we care about right now. Actually, the plow here is also useful. Right, did you sandbag this Force of Will just for this One Ring? Okay, we'll keep the new one. Go to attacks. A little bit worried about this Teferi, weirdly. If we attack Teferi, they still sacrifice permanents. Whenever it's put... okay, I don't know the exact text. Okay, we don't have time to worry about it. We're just going to shred our opponent's permanents here. We can't take damage this turn. But while they have the Teferi, we are exposing ourselves to losing to Bowmasters. An Ice Fang. Okay. That can block anyway, so it doesn't really matter which way we attacked. This has Death Touch, right? But they have to make sure they keep enough snow permanents. But we can just rebuy the Emrakul quite easily. It's going to be a lot of clicks involved to do that, though. We could have, if we had more time, I probably would have played some Mycospawns out. So if our Emrakul dies, we do get to Mycospawn up the Wasteland and just get rid of all their permanents. And then the Mycospawn can just win them the following turn. Actually, no, because we're not hitting them 15 here, are we? So this doesn't have Death Touch anymore. They just take 15, I assume. No, they're just going to lose that guy, sure. Okay, so now we cast this with Kicker. Let's block their land. Can get Glimmerpost to make sure we don't die. We've only got 1 minute now, so I'm just going to F6 here. 15, 16, 17, 18. We're 1 damage shy of where I'd ideally like to be. But I cast and Ponder. Just turn our thing sideways. And win the game, hopefully. Yield to this. Come on, Magic Online. Please let me go to my attack step. I just need to attack twice. Why am I getting this lag now? Oh, come on. We've got 33 seconds. It took us 30 seconds to attack last time, so I believe we should be okay, even with that huge lag. Alright. Alright, we got the match. Absolute slogfest there, but like I said, given enough time, our deck goes over the top of everyone because that's just what hardcasting Emrakuls does, and we can rebuy this multiple times if we need to in varying ways. Alright, we're on the board. Let's go to round 3. This hand is really asking a lot of work from Once Upon a Time. And we have a second one that we can't really cast. This hand really needs a Planar Nexus. Do I want to keep a hand that looks like this? We can play a turn 3 Karn. That's kind of slow. Do I believe in the power of Once Upon a Time? A turn 2 Karn is pretty darn good. We could also just find a Spirit Guide and make a turn 2 Karn off of the Monolith. Alright, we're going to try it. Try it for science. We are also on the draw, so that gives us more hits to find the things we need. Another Polluted Delta. All Polluted Delta decks. Although very different decks there, which has been nice. What are they? They're fetching an R upkeep. They're going to Orim's Chant us. That'd be funny. No. Okay. They're entombing now. Okay. That's certainly a time you're allowed to do that. So that is playing around days. Alright, let's have a little look with a Once Upon a Time. So I suspect our opponent is going to try and reanimate this Atraxa on turn 2, which is going to be good. And it's going to cause us some trouble. A swing and a miss. Alright. Alright, deck. I understand. I do not believe in the heart of the cards anymore. Swing and a miss, though. 18 lands. Plus 11, that's 29. About 35 cards of our deck, I think. Are they cycling this troll and then reanimating? Or do they just not have... They must have the reanimation if they're willing to go through some hoops. Like, threaten to lose to a Wasteland here. Thoughtseize. Alright, they're going to see our piece of graveyard removal. And get rid of that, I assume. We need to draw a Glimmerpost to get this Kozilek's command to really... Actually, that's not true. We can play this Grim Monolith and still Kozilek's command for 1. It's not really how we drew it up. But it's a thing we're allowed to do. There goes the Kozilek's command. It's a thing we're not allowed to do now. So you can play out this Grim Monolith. Or we could try and... Another Once Upon a Time. What is the correct line here? We could Boseiju, cast Once Upon a Time. Or we could play the Grim Monolith. Like, neither of these feels great. They both lead to Karn next turn anyway. Because next time we would just go 2 mana, Grim Monolith, Karn. We want the Karn for the Tormod's Crypt, but that might not be enough at that point anyway. Okay, I think I'm going to get this Boseiju in play. And we can Once Upon a Time. We do have a Karakas to hit. Alright. I guess with the trigger on, we need to cast this. In case we find that Karakas. Did not find the Karakas. Did find a Cloudpost. That's something. Yeah, things about to go very wrong for us. Well, they went very wrong from turn 1. We're missing with our Once Upon a Time. Okay, what have we got? Oh, this is the Tainted Indulgence build that Easy Money Marksman's been winning loads of trophies with. It's pretty cool. I might get on the channel at some point. There's only so many times I can play Blue Rat Reanimator on the channel, though. So if you're unfamiliar with Tainted Indulgence, you draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. So it's a blue card, so it works with Force of Will. It enables your graveyard by just cycling through the cards you don't want. And sometimes in the late game, it can just draw you cards. Reanimate, Force of Will, Troll, Undercity Sewers. So there's the Undercity Sewers. Reanimate, Force of Will. Okay. We just need to beat this massive yacht. They left the card on top, which doesn't fill me with the most amount of joy. The Troll of Khazad Doom is also going to be kicking our doors in pretty soon too. If we play this, we end up with a lot more mana. This taps for 2. Have 2, 3, 4 mana. So I think we do play this one out. And we cast this Grim Monolith. And we cast this Karn. This is a round of days. There's a Force of Will pitching a Brainstorm. Okay. So next turn, we have the Tower. So we end up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So that is enough to Karn and Ensnaring Bridge, which is what we're hoping to do. We just need to draw a Karn for that. A Karakas is okay. We can always try and spin on the Once Upon a Time and dredge that up. Get that popping off. Buys us some time. I suspect we will see just a Troll enter battlefield this turn, just so they have lethal next turn, right? Or, well, actually, I suppose it's not actually lethal, is it? Because this is only hitting for 6 and not 7. It does speed them up 1 turn if they're just hitting with the Atraxa. A Brainstorm with 1 blue floating, for some reason. Days targeting their own Brainstorm. Are they trying to get different mana costs into their graveyard? For Tainted Indulgence? Certainly seems possible. Oh, okay, they were resetting their Undercity Sewers. That makes a bit more sense. Okay, yeah. Okay, so they were just trying to Brainstorm Undercity Sewers. That makes a lot more sense. Sorry about that, I'm with you now. Okay. So 7 plus 6 is not 14. But drawing all the cards ever is a lot. Okay. So we can play this one out. But then we can't... Yeah, we have to just do this first, don't we? I think we do it like this. None of these are Karakas. How much mana do we have here? 1, 2. So we can make this tap for 3. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's still not enough, is it? I'll take this Emrakul and give them the fear. So we could play this and untap the Grim Monolith. And then next turn we'd have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's still not enough. So if we play the Cloudpost down, it's kind of the same in terms of mana. Okay. Play out the Cloudpost. I'm not feeling like we're going to win this one. Our opponent's about to gain loads of life, put us to 1. But if we could draw the 1 ring and somehow resolve it, that might give us enough time to get this Emrakul on the stack. So there's still ways that we can not lose this game. I would be very surprised if they didn't just have a handful of gas. They can do whatever they want with this Urza brand. An Entomb. They're going to Entomb a Orcish Bowmasters and ping us down. An Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, that works too. Oh, okay, they're not putting on the stack just yet. You found a Reanimate. You can go 7 cards deeper and get one. There we go. That is us dead. Okay, we got Reanimated against on turn 2. Or no, it was 10-3 actually because they disrupted our hand. But yeah, pretty solid still. I would like some Graveyard Hate, please. I'd also like... We're going to have to play against Harbinger of the Seas quite likely. So this is probably the 6 cards we're looking at bringing. Obviously, Bojuka Bog seems pretty solid here. I'm not convinced about the Tabernacle. They're just playing like singular big guys. But if we can Lattice lock them, then the Tabernacle will be good. But I don't think we need the Tabernacle. The Disruptor Flute for Wasteland makes sense here. I don't really like the crop rotations into all of our opponent's counter magic. And then we're looking at one more cut. Blast Zone is fine. Karakas is actively useful. I don't think we're getting rid of any of this stuff. This is Graveyard Hate, so we're not really getting rid of that. We're getting rid of a Monolith. Is that a wild thing to do here? Especially since we're going down on crop rotations. Yeah. Maybe we can... Are we going to trim 1 Once Upon a Time? We did get Once Upon a Time flooded in that game. We're going to try trimming 1. I know that's not necessarily the best place to be, but I think I like just trimming 1 here. I mean, it's kind of important for what we're doing, especially without the crop rotations. But drawing multiples of them is just something we don't have the time to leverage a lot of the time. Okay, we got a lot of mana and a little bit of Graveyard Hate. We can do some stuff on turn 2. I think I'll keep this. It's quite mana heavy, but we have Graveyard Hate. And we're relatively redundant against Wasteland. So the 2 things we're most scared of is their Graveyard and them messing with our mana. And we've got both of those things covered with this hand. Now, we don't have amazing Graveyard Hate in our deck, so just having even a piece like this is fine. Also, we will have the mana to do this on turn 2 as well. We can play the Nexus, and then we can also play the Monolith. They can't Entomb off of just a blue mana, which is really nice. Which probably means we want to Disruptor Flute here. Just name that Wasteland. Stop that from ruining our day. We're playing around days nicely here. Yes, we have our own Wasteland, but it's a one-of. Whereas our opponent has many that can try and mess with us. This is shields down on reanimation right now, but the worst thing they can reanimate is a troll, and we should be able to beat that. I'm just going to reanimate the troll. I'm going to reanimate it as a 5/5 or a 6/5, depending on if they use reanimate or animate dead. To use animate dead, we have the Boseiju. We can always fire at it if we feel like that's necessary. Alternatively, they just pass. It's pretty good for us. Another Cloudpost. I think that is where I would like to spend my mana. So now we're kind of up against it in terms of an Entomb line. So we have the stats for 3. So we can Kozilek's command for 1 around a daze. I think that is the correct thing to do here because this taps for 3. If we play out the Monolith, we just have to lose our Monolith for it. And it's not like we are doing big Monolith stuff right now anyway. The slower this game goes, the better it is for us. Petty Theft on the Disruptor Flute. Okay, that is obviously a little bit annoying. Probably means we're getting Wastelanded. But I don't want to just replay this immediately. and then be shields down on reanimation. So it might have been a bait to try and force something through in the graveyard, but we can just end of turn Disruptor Flute instead. I thought Seize. Okay, I think we let this hit. Oh, they hit their own Grizzlebrand. Okay, they weren't even hitting us. I see. They didn't play a Wasteland this turn, so I'm going to play this one out. I'm going to name Force of Will because we can play around days. Thank you for helping us change what it was naming. Surgical Extraction. Okay, we have lots of avenues here. So we can use the Surgical Extraction and save the Kozilek's command as a spell that we get to do stuff with. That's pretty nice. Thought Season themselves. That's a lot. Just get target this Grizzlebrand. Pay 2 life. We hopefully get to see what our opponent's working with as well. I'd much rather this gets countered than our Kozilek's command. We can stack our draws and exile their Grizzlebrand. Okay, so we'll take this one Grizzlebrand. They don't have any other Grizzlebrands in their deck. So what do they have here that we need to be worried about? One Consign. Yeah, just pretty much exactly what I was expecting. And then we can also see their hand. So they do have a Force of Will. It costs 3 more. They've got days we don't care about. So I think we're going to do a Kozilek's command around days here. I would like to make some mana and scribe it. Actually, this is a terrible play when they got like Kozilek's command over there, isn't it? Not Kozilek's command, the Consign to Memory. Okay. Also got a Borrower chilling in exile. Okay, so now we can just do back-to-back Kozilek's commands. I don't mind that as much. Let's get this down. So if we had done it last time, we could have untapped and done it, but now we know that we can do that. So this is going to be trading one form with the Consign. But that does tie up our opponent's blue mana for this whole turn cycle. Out comes a Consign here. There it is. And we get to untap and do it again. We could do it with the Grim Monolith as well, just to get one deeper. That's probably worth it, isn't it? Do I want to play the Boseiju here, or do I want to make a better land drop than a Boseiju? And I'll pitch the Blaststone as well. I'll leave this Spirit Guide in hand. They can't double days. Force of Will shut off. Okay. One ring, pretty strong. Don't mind having that. This Wasteland can go on the bottom of our library. Doesn't do anything. Echoing Deeps, same deal. The land drop I would most like to make is probably the Cloudpost. So I think we'll put the Glimmerpost at the bottom and the Nexus at the bottom. Source to Plowshares is okay. I think the One Ring is the thing we want most. And we're probably putting this Cloudpost underneath the One Ring. So we're going to draw the One Ring, and then we're going to draw a card from the One Ring, which is going to be the Cloudpost or the Surgical Extraction. Should probably be the Extraction just so I'm super duper safe. But that is very slow. Right, we'll put the Plow on the bottom of our library. And then it's the... Alright, I'll put these on top in this order. Let's just get our One Ring up and running. We can draw that Cloudpost that we know is on top. And we can pass. So we have 2 pieces of Graveyard Hate on top of our library. We need our opponent to not do a Graveyard thing this turn, but we could probably outpace that just with the One Ring anyway. We have Animate Dead. Okay, so they had the Entomb. I still need to draw 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know their hand. We know they don't have a reanimation spell right now. So we have given them 1 turn. Maybe that's just greedy with what we've done there. But I think we can... Alright, we just get to win the game because we untap the One Ring. Yeah, so we could have just kept the anti-graveyard stuff on top and just had like an extraction to work with. That would have been fine. I like how sideboard. Let's just go in again. If we can beat the graveyard line, their fair line doesn't seem to be very good. It's just like Doughty Voidwalkers and stuff, which we can certainly beat. This is not a keeper. We're going to mulligan this one. We have Graveyard Hate. We have the Once Upon a Time. We're on the draw. I would like more land, but I think I am willing to keep this one and probably put back the Karn the Great Creator here. If we can answer their graveyard, we've got time. To have my free spell. We need to hit a land of some description. A Planar Nexus is a land of some description. I will take that. So we have a choice whether or not we're playing around days. I think we don't have that opportunity to play around a days with our Graveyard Hate. Again, the only thing they can really reanimate at the moment is a troll, which the One Ring beats pretty handily because they started on basic island. So we can attempt the One Ring this turn if we wish. We'll tap for 2 so we can get the Monolith, and then this is the 4th mana. So I'm not opposed to Surgical extracting this. We have 2 copies of this, do we? Alright, I'm going to get rid of this troll, I think. Am I? If they take this, then we just get to... They'd probably take the Monolith, actually. Okay, I'll let them take the Monolith. I think that's the correct choice. If they take the Surgical, it does mean that they're on a graveyard line, but I don't think you take the Surgical to beat, to make sure your troll resolves next turn. I don't think that's good enough. You take the Surgical to stop something much scarier coming down, which we wouldn't be able to stop if we fight off now. So they took the Monolith like I thought they would. Okay. More lands. That's all we want to keep drawing here. Not a land. Okay, but we do have 2 pieces of graveyard hate. I don't know how many daisies are still going to be in our opponent's deck at this point. Probably very few. We could exile this troll just to get deeper and make some more mana. That does play into like all of their things. I think it's the situation we're in because of our mana right now. I guess actually, we just make guys and draw a card is better here, isn't it? I don't expect this to resolve. But this is not a high value spell right now. But they might see it as desperation. Boy howdy, I'm happy to draw that Urza's Tower. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the exact mana we need to kick this. So Consign to Memory can get us here. But Consign to Memory hitting the Sowing Mycospawn means it won't be hitting our One Ring, which can protect us underneath a scary reanimate creature. Here we just need to keep playing our spells out, and if one of them sticks, then we can probably ride it to victory. This is the one that's least likely to be ridden to victory. The rare full-on replicate mode. But we had to sniff one of those out. It did cost us an Eldrazi Spawn token, which is not nothing. But we can still do One Ring around days quite easily, unless we get Wastelanded, and then everything starts falling apart. Tainted Indulgence. So they also still know that we have this Surgical. So they've binned off this Atraxa. They're going to try and reanimate it now. A Brainstorm. That is not a reanimation spell, but it could certainly find one. They might just be trying to find some permission so they can stop our Surgical. Looks like nothing's happening. Let's try a copy of the One Ring, please. And Entomb. They're going for a double reanimation line. Let's draw a card. An Echoing Deeps. We can just have this colorless and cast this Once Upon a Time this turn. Use that flowing mana to get a little bit deeper in our deck here. Do I want a Karakas? Do I want a Tower? Tower of Power seems pretty good here. This is 3 mana immediately. This is 1 mana immediately, but way more in the next turn. Alright, I just get a Cloudpost, because that makes us harder to waste off, because they can waste off our Nexus and shut off loads of stuff, whereas this makes it harder for them to do that. Okay, they're going for a double reanimation line. We just need to stop the Atraxa, so we let them have the Archon, which is the first one they're going to go for, because it can't target us whilst we're under the One Ring protection. So it's going to look a bit awkward to just let them resolve an Archon. Maybe they only have 1 reanimation spell, and they're going to bait us really well with it. That's certainly a possibility. Okay, so they're going for the one that we definitely want to counterspell. Oh, the one to stop. I don't believe our opponent still has Daisies in their deck against the Cloudpost deck. Alright. What have they got here? Barragoyf, Brazen Borrower, Murktide Regent. Okay. These things are not going to make a difference here. I'm surprised they didn't go for the Archon. Obviously it's weaker, but they know it's not going to work. So it leaves the Archon, the Atraxa in. So we're going to see the Barragoyf, I believe. Oh, they're just going straight for Murktide. Sure, like that clocks just as well. This draws them cards. It's similar but different. We can just keep chaining One Rings until we win the game, really. Play this. It's just Time Walk Ancestral Recall for 4 mana. Why not? Kozilek's Command. That can generate a decent chunk of mana. I'm going to deploy this, naming Wasteland. Obviously, we have our own Wasteland, but that's not really what this game is about. We can probably exile this guy now. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, we can just tap 3 lands and exile their Murktide Regent next turn if we want to. Petty Theft is bounce an opponent's thing, so they can't save their own Murktide if we want to do that. They'll probably play a Barragoyf, so they just have another threat anyway. There's a Barragoyf, almost as scary as the Murktide, to be honest. I will take 0 damage, please. So we know they've got the Brazen Borrower, so we don't just want to make a mistake here. I think we are going to play our One Ring. But we're going to Kozilek's Command first, because you can't Kozilek's Command afterwards. We have to resolve this, which is a bit annoying. It's not the lowest of efforts things to resolve. Okay, so we can plow all their stuff if we want to. We don't need a Once Upon a Time. Go on the bottom. We don't need this Yavimaya. Can go on the bottom. Sowing Mycospawn is kind of interesting. Get rid of these. Probably don't need another Karn. We don't need another Planar Nexus either. You can keep the plows and just plow both their creatures next turn. Seems like a fine thing to do. Probably don't need the Disruptor Flute. Probably don't need these Cloudposts at this point. Or we don't need the tower. We can have a Cloudpost if we want it. The Sowing Mycospawn gets us where we need to go here. So, doesn't matter which order we put these in. I think it does, doesn't it? So we're going to draw 1 card off of the One Ring and this. So 2 of these will be in our hand. Next time we draw 1 card per turn and 2 more. So we will draw them all in this next turn cycle, actually. So it doesn't actually matter which order we do this. Let's play this One Ring. Get another Shield of Protection. There's no point playing the Karn out because it will just die. Because Karn doesn't have protection. So we can plow all their guys. And just do everything we want next turn. We can we Sowing Mycospawn and just kill them next turn with an Emrakul? We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 mana, 23. So we need to spend 6 of that and 7 of that. Okay, so I can take out... What do we even take out here? Maybe one of the Nexus? He's going for Cloudpost. Sure, that makes sense too. We definitely can't just chew everything up now. But our opponent is now hellbent. They do have this Brazen Borrower in exile, but this is not going to be a problem for us. So now we can just Karn Ensnaring Bridge, although we have a lot of cards in hand. Okay, so we can play this Cloudpost and generate a lot more mana for the following turn. If we want to plow both of these, which I think we do, that means we're going plow on this, plow on this. So we don't get to Mycospawn this turn. 5 mana, 6 mana. So we can go Disruptor Flute. We've also got these Karns kicking around. So we can go and name Wasteland here. And we can cast a Karn. We can minus this. Go and get Walking Ballista. Play this. Kill their only guy. And then next turn we can just Lattice Lock our opponent. Our opponents have found the channel and we managed to get the match. So we are 3 rounds in. Let's see if we can go to round 4 now and get another win. Okay, 4 mana on turn 2. That's kind of what we signed up for. I will keep this. Don't like the double Once Upon a Time, but I'll live with it. Go Gadget free spell. I would very much like this Sowing Mycospawn, please. I'll play out this Urza's Tower with the possibility to crop rotate it in the face of a Wasteland. Karn the Great Creator. Why am I worried about... I've just got this fear that our opponent's going to Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual into Opposition Agent. Weirdly going to pass here. Is that true? Yes, I think so. And we're going to cast this Once Upon a Time. Yes, this is why we didn't pass, so we at least have the option of trying to crop rotate for Bojuka Bog here. The other option is cast a Karn, get ourselves a Tormod's Crypt, which covers that line twice over. I don't know if our opponent is like mono black, or if they are going to be playing blue black again. If they don't have counter spells, that makes our life a lot easier. Reanimate. So make a green mana. I think we Once Upon a Time first, so we know which one we're better off sacrificing. We've got a Cloudpost here, which I think means we're getting rid of the tower. Maybe the Karn get Tormod's Crypt line is better. Alright, Force of Will. Yeah, the Karn Tormod's Crypt line does look better here. How are we supposed to win this game? I don't think we are. I think it's game over already. If we go for the car, yeah, I don't want to play this one anymore. These games are pretty grindy, so I'd like to get my time in a suitable place. So what did we do last time? We had this, this, and these. And we got rid of... What did we get rid of? I have a feeling we got rid of one of the lands. I don't remember which one. Tabernacle, wasn't it? I think. And we got rid of the crop rotations, and we trimmed on one Once Upon a Time last time. So we'll try the similar thing. If we'd have gone for the Karn and get Tormod's Crypt line, that is a safer line because it involves us having to have 2 spells counterspelled. But then we're burning our Karn on doing that. And it plays into Days and another spell. But I guess making them have 2 spells. Maybe we're supposed to just Karn there, but we don't know that our opponent is Reanimator. If we just go and get Tormod's Crypt and it does nothing, we've kind of wasted our Karn a little bit. Maybe we're supposed to just do that because what are we scared of from black decks at the end of the day? It's them reanimating something really scary early on, or it's them being some sort of like Helm combo deck, which Karn stops both parts of. So, yeah. Okay, no, I think we should have just gone to get the Karn and do the Tormod's Crypt, puzzling it out now. This is a turn 2 ability to Kozilek's command. Is that good enough? Like, we don't have that many tools against what our opponent's putting down. I guess it's going to be. But they have to respect crop rotation the whole time as well, which is nice for us. The Bojuka Bog being in hand is definitely annoying, but we can crop rotate it into an Echoing Deeps. Surgical Extraction, not a bad one to have access to here. I'll play this Wasteland and this Grim Monolith. But the best hands from this blue-black reanimator deck are not ones we can realistically beat. We'd have to have something really ridiculous like multiple extractions. But like turn 2 reanimate a thing with a couple of counter magic to back it up is very hard for a lot of decks to beat. We are no different. I don't really have any big mana payoffs just yet. This is kind of a payoff though, isn't it? So we can kick this if we want to. I'd like to blow up your basic island, please, opponent. They could Daze to save their island. They could also just have Consign to Memory and mess with our triggers. But we get something out of this pile because they don't have enough to replicate it 3 times. So we'll either get a land, a destruction of their land, or a 3/3. Now, I'd rather not have the 3/3 of those 3 options. But it is what it is. Consign to Memory, replicate twice. Presumably they're going to hit the triggers and just leave us with a Hill Giant. But we've got something on board. They could... No, they can't do this. We have 1 mana floating. I think let's just let this... I don't think this is worth a Force of Will. Okay, so we are down to only having 1 piece of Graveyard Hate available right now. And we've lost a lot of mana by using this Grim Monolith, but we can just cast a Sowing Mycospawn next turn and force them to have that same sort of action again. The tapping out of blue mana might be good. Well, they can obviously find a fetch land and get blue mana in a different way. Scalding Turn. A Karakas. That's not a bad one to have access to. I'm going to attack for 3 first. I've played the Karakas out. That gives us protection against Daze. That is worth doing here. I'd like to tutor for some more mana, please. What do we actually want here? Probably just a Cloudpost. That's the easiest thing to do more stuff with. So we've got Surgical Extraction around a Daze. We can Wasteland this as well now. I think that's worth doing. We've got 6 power in play. That's not Nothing, that's for sure. We can stop our opponent multi-spelling as easily. There you go. So now we're taxing their blue pips so they can't ponder into the things they need as easily. They don't even have anything big in the graveyard yet. And Reanimate is becoming a difficult line every turn because we're reducing their life total. So they have to do Animate Dead stuff. And Emrakul, not really the one we wanted. Let's bash for 6. And replace Bojuka Bog. Shrink their graveyard. So no Murktide can come down. And then we have 2 pieces of graveyard hate in hand and a 1.5 turn clock. Or a 2 turn clock, as it actually is. But you know what I mean. Alright, let's scoop it up. That felt alright. I think we just go again. As long as we get to... So we could have the crop rotations to make the Bojuka Bogs better. So that is an option we have. But I just don't like casting the crop rotations into their deck very much. Maybe that's the thing we're supposed to do. I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'll leave 1 crop rotation in over a Karn. I'm just not a massive fan of crop rotating into these blue decks. It just, if we ever get a crop rotation counterspell with our deck, it's devastating. I don't think I can keep this one. I believe in Once Upon a Time here. I'm going to keep this and I'm going to bottom one of the Once Upon a Times. Undercity Sewers. This way they just mill one of their big monsters straight up. No. Good news. They kept in dazes against us. That is interesting. This tower is a pretty good one here. If we have to sacrifice a land, I think I'd rather it be the tower than the Nexus, because the Nexus works with more cards in our deck. I don't think we're powering out the Grim Monolith there using our Spirit Guide. I think we're having crop rotate for Bojuka Bog around days. I think that makes the most sense. There is a Wasteland. Okay. Let's crop rotate here. And we'll just get another tower. Maybe we can do some Mycospawn stuff next turn. So this is a turn where they don't have consigned to memories. This is a good turn to drop a Sowing Mycospawn, whereas they might have a Force of Will that can answer a daze. That can answer a One Ring. So play this out. We have 4 mana. So this taps 3. So we can cast this. So this is 3, 4, 5 mana. So we can't cast it with Kicker, but we can still cast it. I think we just want another tower just to get some more mana going. It does make it awkward if we lose our Nexus though. We could get a Cloudpost and then they can just take out the Nexus and that's bad for us. Yeah. Okay, I guess it's the tower here. Not a Wasteland. Happy that that didn't happen to us. This could still be Entomb Reanimate though. We have an answer to it, but it's tough. They get to get their stuff going. A Dalthy Voidwalker. That is irrelevant. The fair plan is not a thing we care about here. An Eye of Ugin. Right, so we're always attacking here. There is an issue with this Dalthy Voidwalker. We don't want them to get the One Ring themselves. So, float white. I think we are ploughing this. Because that way, if our One Ring gets countered, it doesn't just go straight into their exile zone where they can play it. We haven't played a land yet. Oh wow, we're just in with it. Wowzers trousers. Okay, let's draw some cards. Or a card. A Kozilek's Command. Okay. I really don't think they should be going onto the fair plan against us. Cycling a troll. If that's what they're reanimating, sign me up. I would happily deal with trolls all day long. Another Dalthy, sure. Don't really care about that one now. Well, we can obviously interact with it if we want to, but I don't think we have to. Let's draw some more cards. Let's see what we're doing here. Got Bojuka Bog, we've got Glimmerpost. Our cup runneth over, really. I'm going to leave 1 mana up here. Let's play around days. Just a little small Kozilek's Command. The Eye of Ugin pumps it by 2. Like a double daze. We get a Force of Will. Not a surprise. I will play this Bojuka Bog and strip out our opponent's graveyard. No Murktide Regents. We're not threatening a crop rotation right now, but our opponent is a bit lower on resources over there, And the One Ring is drawing 3 cards a turn now. And we've got Glimmerpost to sort of gas back up a little bit. Only gives us 2 life, but that's still 2 life. And yeah, that's 2 additional cards from a One Ring, more or less. Cycling Control. So far we only have the Kozilek's command in our exile that they can get off this Doughty Voidwalker, which is not very strong. Because they can only cast it for free for X. They left a card on top. They're reanimating just a guy. Put themselves to 9. That is A-okay with me. We are going to take 3 here, and then we're going to take 2 from this. So the damage is going to add up a little bit. But they're not getting more cards to interact with what we're doing, and we should be able to just go over our opponent's head here. Let's draw some more cards. We've got a Sowing Mycospawn. That's quite tasty. Let's cast this with Kicker, I think. So we can go and get a Cloudpost here. We can get a Wasteland and shrink our opponent's mana. I don't think we need to do that. We need more of our own mana at this point. So we've got 3 mana, 4, 5. So we can play this one out. Gain some more life. We can exile target creature. And we can make a bunch of spawns if we want to. Or we could just do some scrying. I'm just going to make some spawns here, actually. So X is currently 5, I think. It's been an annoying time to get blown out by a daze, but I didn't have it. So 3, 6, 7. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which is enough to cast Emrakul. Alright. They see the writing on the wall, and that is 4 rounds. And we are looking at a 3-1 so far. So we could put a nice 4-1 on the board, which is, I think, what we've had with Cloudpost the last few times I've played it. So let's see if we can stay true to form. Okay. We can do a Kozilek's command to sort of get us where we need to be. This hand is acceptable, I would say. I'm not excited about it, but I think we have the tools to win the game. We also have the tools that can be disrupted, but that's just the nature of playing this deck sometimes. Polluted Delta. 5 for 5 on Polluted Delta decks today. Now, they've mostly been different decks, so that's cool. Alright. I pondered. They did not shuffle. Once Upon a Time, please. I like the Sowing Mycospawn a lot. The Tower of Power, though, can really help us. I think we're going to take the action in the Mycospawn. So we can probably kick the Mycospawn next turn, right? Just by doing a load of Grim Monolith nonsense. Wasteland. Goodbye, land that we had. This is why I was tempted to take the Tower of Power. So I could play a Grim Monolith right now at the cost of an Elvish Spirit Guide. Doesn't seem too inordinate a cost right now, does it? It'd be a horrible days to see on the other side, but we've been losing a fair few game ones. Alright, it's a Force of Will, though. Brazen Borrower, Ponder, Wasteland, Force of Will. Could be Reanimator, could be Tempo. Okay, it's Reanimator. Okay, so we have played Reanimator 3 times now. Just when I was hoping that it wasn't the case. But we've beaten it all the time, so the only thing we've lost to it so far today is Doomsday, which is miserable as a matchup. We've got Swamp, Islands, Animate Dead on some guy. You can have some guy. We can eventually deal with this. Let's go for another Grim Monolith. So we're probably Sowing Mycospawn for Tower of Power. And then we can... Or Urza's Tower, sorry. I keep calling it the Tower of Power. And then we can get our Kozilek's command pointed at this Troll of Khazad-dûm at some stage. A Brainstorm. Unmask. So we're going to lose our Mycospawn, I believe. I took our Kozilek's command, which is interesting. Right, we've taken our hit from the Troll. An Eye of Ugin. Does that allow me to kick this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does allow me to kick. And we'll get rid of our opponent's blue mana. And we'll probably just get a tower here. So the risk of targeting the blue land is that they could daze. And bounce it. Oh, that was a pass through. We're supposed to use the floating mana to untap the Grim Monolith. That was just a massive error there. So we'll take 5. We need to find some one ring action, really. A Boseiju is fine. We can just blow up this Animate Dead. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is a situation where having an Ulamog in the deck would be really good. We don't have the Ulamog. So 3, 6, 7. This gets us a guy. We can't play the guy this turn. We're running out of time a little bit here. We can just go and get a single Glimmerpost and Entomb. Yeah, that's pretty good. Depending on if they can reanimate whatever they entomb, though. But what would they have in hand? They're not casting, right? There's the reanimate. I'll take 5 here. So the plan is blow up both their lands and then play Tabernacle. So we need to not draw into... this Wasteland is pretty good. Not draw into... Yeah, we need to not draw into the Wasteland this turn. And they need to not use their Wasteland. But it's possible. Might be difficult for us to kick this, actually. We could also just draw the One Ring and buy ourselves another turn. Because the trigger's on this target. So we'll buy us a turn, which should hopefully be enough to set up what we're trying to do here. But it's going to be pretty close, I think. I think if they hit the Planar Nexus, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we can't kick this. But we'll see. Okay. They're allowing us to do some of the things here. I know we have the Tabernacle in hand, though. So if we get this Wasteland, check out Underground Sea. Cast this once upon a time. So I can just Wasteland our Tabernacle by holding up this Wasteland. Swing and a miss. I suspect our opponent will not make the mistake. Yep, and that is the game. Okay, let's go to the sideboard and do what we've been doing this whole time. So, planes, plows, extractions, out with the Tabernacle, out with some number of crop rotation, and maybe 1 Karn. And what was the other thing we've been cutting? 1 once upon a time. I think that looks all right. Our opponents have been slowing down, and our sideboard plan has been working, so we just keep rolling it, I guess. I imagine some people would probably keep more crop rotations in. Lots of mana, and a once upon a time to do something with it. Okay. We don't have the Graveyard Hate that I would ideally like. But I think our opponents probably slowed their game plan down. Alright, I'll put this Mycospawn into my hand. It's a good one. Let's play this Cloudpost. If our opponent has a Wasteland, they'll probably just Wasteland this, and we'll go back. I can just play this Deeps, Copping, and just continue. Underground Sea. Ponder? A Thoughtseize. Okay, we're going to lose the Mycospawn most likely. It could be the Disruptor Flute if they were on a Wasteland heavy draw. Or if we're on a Wasteland heavy draw, they probably just target our first land and then they try to just stop us from ever casting a spell. But we'll see. Yep, there goes the Mycospawn. Let's cast this Disruptor Flute. Next turn we have the One Ring available. Specifically, Entomb plus Reanimate this turn is obviously going to be a burden for us. But, you know, making a turn 2 8 mana guy with a piece of interaction, at least one piece of interaction, is, you know, is a lot. Okay, I feel a little bit safer now. This feels like a very obvious Consign to Memory. Am I supposed to play into Consign to Memory like that? Doesn't feel like we are. We don't really have any better choices. Alright. If they don't have it, it's very, very strong here. Yeah, there's a Consign to Memory. Like, even if we lose this round, we're still like 66% against Blue Black Reanimator this league, right? That's not a bad place to be. We're gonna get... No, not Surveil Land. Is it just an Entomb? It is an Entomb. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. And a Traxxas. So we have the Surgical Extraction. And we have the mana to pay around a days. What are they doing with this Polluted Delta? Just getting a swamp. Let's say no to that. Can our opponent interact with the Surgical Extraction? Like if they got Thoughtseize, Consign, Entomb, Animate, Dead, Force of Will, Then sure, yeah, you beat us. I have no problem losing to that selection of cards. Right, we get rid of this. Obviously, we're not getting rid of anything else here. We get a look at their hand. Animate Dead, Brainstorm Ponder, pretty solid. They brought in 3 Down 3 Void Walkers. They've got 2 Consigns. Psychotog. All right. Actual, factual Psychotog. Wowzers trousers. This gives us a lot more mana right now. Is that better than just getting rid of a bunch of stuff? We don't have a good target for this. I guess we just play the Nexus out. We didn't see Murktides. I guess I could have looked a bit more closely than we did, but I didn't see any Murktides in there. So if they play a Psychotog, then we play the Bojuka Bog and eat all the food for it, so it can't just wombo us. If we lose to a Psychotog, I won't even be mad. I think Psychic Frog could have just been a 2-mana Psychotog and would have been a reasonable card to print. So if I sandbag in this Echoing Deeps in hand as well, if they Wasteland our Planar Nexus, then we can just get another one and turn on the tower again. Animate Dead. Alright, they've got a 5/5. We didn't really have any window to use this Bojuka Bog to interact. They're going to cast this Ponder, or they're going to hold up a Consign. They're going to hold up a Consign to memory. A Sowing Mycospawn. That's not too shabby, is it? So we can cast this with Kicker, can't we? Just go and get the Eye of Ugin, I think, here. Let's Bojuka Bog our opponent, just because we get our tap land out of the way that way. And then we are working towards multiple Sowing Mycospawns into an Emrakul. So this is what? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we are 1 mana shy of Emrakul here. Obviously, we have to tutor for it first. A Doubtful Void Walker, sure. So now they have a 2-turn clock. The One Ring. So this is enough mana to do that. So we can do the One Ring and other stuff here. Have you been sandbagging this Consign to memory? Feels like you have. No, it was a Force of Will. Okay. Same but different, I suppose. We play this land out. How much mana is this? So this taps for 1, 2, 3. So this is 6, 7. So we can't cast an Eldrazi right now. Again, we're in a situation where if we have no Lamog in the deck, we win the game. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. If we go and get Glimmerpost, we gain 4. That'll put us up to 17. So that would be enough to survive another hit. So we could, if we tutor for Mycospawn, we survive 1 more hit. But then where are we going with that hit? Or we just go get the Emrakul and draw a land and try and win the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this, I guess we can do both next turn, right? So we get the Emrakul this turn. All right, that is a Tower of Power that we wanted. If our opponent has exactly Consigned to memory, they can stop our extra turn, and that will win them the game. They do have the way of stopping us having the extra turn here. We don't have enough creatures to block the troll, so we're just dead. Yeah. If we go for the other line with the Mycospawn, we still lose. So, yeah, okay, we went 2-1 against Blue Black Reanimator for a total league that was a 3-2. We got absolutely crushed by the Doomsday, but we showed that we can definitely beat Blue Black Reanimator with our deck quite often. But that deck is the best deck in the format still, and it can just have draws that you can't beat. And that's unfortunately where we're at there. So how do I feel about this deck? It feels very strong. It obviously has some weak matchups, but anyone who tells you their deck has like no bad matchups is talking nonsense. So being weak to some of the combo decks is obviously not ideal. But a lot of the combo decks in the format aren't like turn 1, turn 2. Like you've got your Oopsal spells, you've got your Doomsday, your Epic Storm. But then you've got like all these Cephalid decks and stuff like that where they're taking a bit longer to gear up, and the Reanimator decks that take a few turns to get their things up and running, and they have pivot plans and stuff like that. So this felt pretty good into those blue-black decks most of the time. So I'd be quite happy to play this again, given that the best deck in the meta is something that I feel comfortable playing into. I would be a little bit worried about Doomsday, but Doomsday is not the most played deck, really. So hopefully we can just dodge that. And, you know, you need to get a little bit lucky with your matchups to win a big tournament anyway. But the person who played this, Lucas, I think they came... I want to say they came second it was definitely a top 8. It might have been a second place on the Saturday playing this deck, and then they won the event on the Sunday and qualified for ELM with it. Something like that, I think. So yeah, the deck is clearly quite powerful. I think it is probably the best Planar Nexus deck now. I think it's a little bit better than the Karn decks, just because the Karn decks don't play into counter magic as well as this deck does, because you can just deal your uncountable stuff and get your Mycospawns. But we lost 2 games today because we didn't have Ulamog in our deck. If we had Ulamog in our deck, we win both of those games that we lost in that last round. Is that true? Actually, because we lost to the Consign on the Emrakul. We win one of the games if we have the Ulamog. But I don't know if we wouldn't have won that last game because it was just the Consign to Memory that busted us up there. Which is a very, very powerful card against our deck. And people are packing it in some number to beat Eldrazi anyway. So we are taking some of the splash hit from Eldrazi. And our opponents will get a little bit of a better matchup against us post-board than we will against them most of the time, I would say, if they're playing a blue deck. But yeah, the deck is really solid. It's really fun. I've played it before on the channel. I think this is the worst I've gone with it since it got all the new exciting cards from Modern Horizons. I think I've just been 4-1s and trophies with this deck is all I've managed so far. So, deck is very strong. You should definitely give it a whirl. I understand the Grim Monolith here, and it was definitely useful on occasion. There's probably a few little tweaks in here. Maybe you can fit in a Ulamog somewhere, but it's got to come at the cost of something. Maybe you could cut one once upon a time if you wanted the Ulamogs. That's certainly a thing, but obviously the person who's built this is an expert with a deck, and they have a lot more reps and understanding of how to build this deck, so they're probably right at the end of the day, but it's always nice to try and give a little bit of feedback on my part. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.